Thursday, March 13th, and thank you once again for joining me. Have a lot to talk about. You know, everything seems to change, and we've learned one thing, that we can be very nimble and adapt to change. So, you know, at this point, we're going to go through the, you know, what we know at this point on some of the issues that just came out this week, and then, of course, open it up for questions. So, first item on the agenda this morning is to extend or not to extend. That's still the question. You know, I believe it was last Wednesday the President allowed for carriers to, well, states to make the decision to extend the original November extension past the current guidelines and on to 2016. The state is still figuring out what's in the best, you know, what's the best option for Pennsylvania consumers, and no decision at this point has been made. So at this point, it's business as usual, but any extension could affect not only medically underwritten individual plans, but also older, of course, older medically underwritten groups as well. One thing that seems to be pretty clear is that if somebody has already terminated their plan and gone to a PPACA plan, then they cannot go back to their old plan. So that part seems to be pretty clear. Everything else is still kind of, you know, in a holding pattern on what will or will not happen. Cutoff dates. We're still working on cutoff dates for 4/1. The cutoff date is March 15th, which is Saturday, not only for on-exchange individual plans, but also off-exchange individual health plans. And, of course, then 3/31 is still set to be the close of enrollment, both on and off, for individual health plans. So because of that, we are working 8 to 4:30 this Friday, as opposed to our normal 8 to 1 business hours. So you can email or fax your applications for off-exchange that need to be entered for a 4/1 effective date. We're asking that these applications arrive no later than 2:30 on Friday, this Friday the 14th. So please try to adhere to that as, you know, as much as possible. We're only going to be in until 4:30, so it's going to take some time to process. So I would appreciate, again, if you could get them in to us, fax or email by 2:30. Friday the 28th, although it's not the cutoff, we are extending our hours as well on Friday the 28th from 8 to 4:30, and Monday the 31st is the cutoff. We ask that you have the applications for the absolute cutoff of the health insurance submission to URL no later than 2 p.m. on Monday the 31st. So hopefully that helps everyone out, and, you know, we can get some business in before anything else changes, I suppose. So the latest and the greatest is what has been talked about a lot yesterday and on the news this morning and last night, was this supposed extension of the individual mandate, the individual tax. You know, we're still waiting for details, but I can tell you that in my HCR newsletter that will be coming out today or tomorrow, I'm going to have some information on it, all the details, the bulletins from CMS. But the gist of it is HHS has kind of extended what they term to be a hardship, redefined essentially what can or not qualify as a hardship exemption. And I'll get to that in a minute, and I'll show you the information. But essentially, the December 19th CMS guidance was just changed on March 5th to essentially read that the the guidance says individuals whose policies are canceled because the coverage is not compliant with an ACA qualified plan They would qualify for a hardship exemption if they find other options to be more expensive than their current plans. I'm paraphrasing. And they're also given the concession of being able to purchase a catastrophic plan. And that hardship exemption will continue to be available until October 1st of 2016 for individuals whose non-compliant coverage is canceled and to meet the requirements specified in the guidance. So I wanted to go to healthcare.gov, and if you go to healthcare.gov and you search in how do I qualify for exemption, or just put in exemption in the search, you're going to come up. It's going to come up with all of this information about the individual tax. I'm adamantly opposed to how they put shared responsibility as opposed to individual tax. But the exemptions from the payment, the tax payment, are listed below. And what you'll see is that, these are some of the normal things that were in there, but you'll see that the list of hardship exemptions is really kind of expanding. And, number 13 says it all. If your individual insurance plan was canceled and you believe other marketplace plans are unaffordable, then you qualify for a hardship exemption. It's no longer, they still have the language about the exceeds 8% of the income as a guideline, but, they just added this portion. So, again, in my newsletter and on our website under product information and the FSM forms, you're going to find all of this information, and there are different forms in which to file for that exemption. So just be mindful that it's out there. We'll certainly still keep you abreast of any details that you need to know. But at this point, that's what I know, and so be it. Another thing that was sent out, the governor actually did submit his proposal, I believe 2 weeks ago now, for Medicaid expansion in Pennsylvania. And that would expand Medicaid up until 133% of the FPL, the federal poverty level. Within that proposal was a work search option, a work search requirement that anybody that qualified for Medicaid would have to prove that they're searching for work. That was a very controversial, if you will, piece, and that has since been removed. So just wanted to keep you abreast of that. And as if we don't have enough to worry about for 2014 and, for the next 18 days until the close, we have to start thinking about 2015 and the open enrollment period. And I have to say that this is a moving target as well. So originally it was scheduled to be October 15th through December 7th. That was changed, probably 6 months ago to 11/15 to 1/15. And like a thief in the night, it was now changed from 11/15 to 2/15. I'm not sure when that change was made, but at this point, 2015 open election period, open enrollment period is set for November 15th of 2014 to February 15th of 2015. Quick reminder, next Thursday at 2 p.m. we are having a Capital Blue Cross webinar, and I think that you'll find the information in there very useful that you'll learn during the hour webinar. And I just want you all to be mindful of the fact that PPACA has really created a lot of issues, but in 2014 we have our set landscape. The carriers filed for their rates, they're staying through 2014, and the plan designs are staying the same through 12/31 of 14. However, 2015 is a totally new ball game, and it's going to be a total new landscape. So, a plan or plans that are competitive and priced well now may not be competitive and priced well in 2015. So, I say that because capital has been certainly very competitive pre-PPACA, but this year they're not very competitive except for certain programs and products. and they're going to talk about that. But 2015, they're certainly planning on coming out and being more competitive, and I just want you to be aware that, you know, things definitely change. In 2015, they may be a viable option, and even before that for some instances. So that's pretty much all we have for right now, and let me just see where my questions are. I did have one comment. It wasn't really a submitted question, but Sharon had a client that she's working with in the Lehigh Valley, and she tried to enroll him on the FFM. It took the username and password, and it also answered the 3 identity verification questions. But when they completed those questions, they get an unexpected error message. I have an enrollment today at 11 with one of my agent partners, so I'm not sure what the issue is. But if anybody understands what's going on, shoot me an email. She said that the person called the health insurance marketplace and was told to delete the account and try again, and of course it didn't work. So surprise, surprise. So that's really it. That's all the submitted information we have today, and looks like we're really short on questions as well. So if you have questions, go ahead and type them in. There is a question from Brandy. She said that she put 2 applications through the FFM yesterday, and they had the effective date of May 1st. Was on hold for an hour and didn't resolve the issue of effective date. Any suggestions on how to correct the effective date? Oh, for the love of Pete, Brandy, I have no clue what's going on with this system. I don't know. I don't know how to get that change made. It has to go through the FFM, so the only advice I can give you is to you and the insured call the health insurance marketplace and get them to change that effective date. Let me know how that works, and if it works, I think possibly we could back end it through the carrier, but that's going to be a hard task as well. Another question for you, Brandy, is was it due to a qualifying event? Did you maybe put in that the end of their current insurance was 3/31 or 4/1? If you put in 3/31, they'd be eligible for a 4/1. If you put in that it was terming 4/1, then it would kick back to a 5/1. So, you know, again, it gets a little confusing, but try that. Tracy suggests telling Sharon that she should try to delete the application and do another application with the same ID. So that's a suggestion for you, Sharon. Hosty says, are the current clients with Highmark able to keep their existing coverage? At this point, Capital and Highmark, their medically underwritten plans can stay in effect until 12/31 of 2014. Again, no decision has been made to extend beyond that at this point. It's still within the state insurance department's time frame, and it's their decision to make. So I'm not sure when that decision is going to be made, but hopefully sooner rather than later. I know they're evaluating it and trying to make sure that they're going to do the right thing for the consumers in Pennsylvania, but at this point, I have no idea. Scott asks if special care has been extended until 6/30 of 2014. That's a really good question, Scott, and originally back in November when the president said that, you know, he's extended, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. The only plans that were extended were the special care programs. Some carriers are terming them 3/31. Others have extended them out through 6/30 of this year. At this point, you know, it's still business as usual. I know Highmark is extending till 6/30. And you know, NEPA and Capital are taking maybe different approaches, but they're all allowed to keep those plans unless we hear otherwise until either 3/31 or 6/30. So yeah, confusion, right? And we got through this webinar really quickly. I guess everybody is just exhausted from, you know, coming up to the end of the exchange. But if you do have other questions, you know, type them in. Margie just shot a question in about how the eBix web broker progress is coming along? Well, Margie, you know, it's the same as it was. It's still tied up with CMS, so unfortunately, we're at the mercy of the testing from CMS. And Tracy says, any updated news on the merger with NEPA and Highmark? And thank you for that question, Tracy. I actually had a conference call with NEPA last week, and essentially it's business as usual. Nothing is going to change for 2014. 2015, you may see different plans, different comp, but 2014 is set, and that's really all I know at this point. Any other questions? Go ahead and type them in or raise your hand. You know, again, I really appreciate everybody's participation in these events. I appreciate the questions that are being asked. It certainly helps me learn, and hopefully it helps everybody learn together. But just a reminder, next webinar is Thursday, March 20th at 9:30, our usual Thursday 9:30 webinar schedule. And then again, Capital's webinar is that same date at 2 p.m. So hopefully everyone will have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the weather, the nice weather that's coming again, as opposed to this chilly wind that we're experiencing. But again, I appreciate your time and thank you so much. Have a great day and a great weekend. Bye-bye.